Welcome back. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin, Democrat, is one of many in that part of the party calling for reforms to ICE procedures in connection to funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Senator joins me now. Senator, good to see you. What's the state of play, as succinctly as you could describe it, with spending bills and a possible government shutdown?
Well, as I was standing here, they've released it publicly, what we know, and it's as follows. After the vote today, where all of the Democrats and some Republicans stood together against voting yes on all 6 bills, there's going to be a division of the package, and 5 of the bills will be considered. But separately, the Department of Homeland Security, which is responsible for ICE, will be considered at a separate occasion. In the meantime, negotiations will start to change the way ICE is operating and Department of Homeland Security is operating in Minnesota and across the country.
I'll translate that quickly. That means 5 bills that will fund their part of the appropriations process for the rest of the fiscal year, and then a short-term spending bill for DHS. Do we know the longevity of that? Is that 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 weeks? Any guidance on that?
I don't know as I stand here. Of course, many of us have said we're not going to vote to fund DHS until there's real reform with ICE. But the fact of the matter is we need time to negotiate what that reform will be. That is about the only leeway that many Democrats are prepared to offer. Some will not even go to that point.
Define, for your purposes, Senator Durbin, what real reform looks like.
Real reform basically is the end of the killing of innocent people in Minneapolis and across the nation. Secondly, to make sure that those ICE agents start being treated like other members of law enforcement professionals when it comes to their activity, their dress, their uniform, and the like.
What about body cameras and no masks? Is that a bright line for you?
I can tell you, I would put that on the list. It's very obvious. If we ask policemen in Chicago or Springfield, Illinois, to wear body cameras, we should ask no less of these ICE agents.
You mentioned Chicago, biggest city in your state, important part of America. ICE and Border Patrol were there first before Minneapolis. Based on what you saw in Chicago, did you fear something like what happened in Minneapolis would occur?
Absolutely, and something did occur. You know, people were shot, and we saw that we were supposed to be going after the worst of the worst, the terrorists and the murderers and the rapists and so forth and so on, who snuck across our border. When it was all said and done, they were American citizens who were being detained without any responsibility being taken by the Department of Homeland Security.
You mentioned some in your caucus are much harder line on this than you are. Do you believe ICE should exist as a law enforcement entity within the federal government?
Well, certainly not this version of ICE. I would not be voting for it in any way, shape, or form. But the actual responsibility, the legislative responsibility to manage those who are in our country illegally is an important responsibility if it's done right, according to the law and according to the Constitution.
You're a significant voice on the Judiciary Committee, Senator. I want to shift your attention to Fulton County, Georgia. FBI raid there last night. Boxes and boxes of materials taken. No one knows what has happened to them or what the custodial charge of that information or evidence will be. What's your reaction to what happened in Fulton County yesterday?
This president is still pressing the case that he didn't lose the election to Joe Biden, and he lost. He did not get a majority of the votes. He continues to be haunted by that, and he'll go so far as to confiscate election materials and ballots in the state of Georgia, where he was recorded as asking for the agents there to find 11,000 votes for him. He won't give it up. He's chewing on this like a dog that won't let go of a bone.
Does it matter to you, Senator, that there was a warrant that the FBI was legally able to execute in this matter?
When I consider this Department of Justice, it's no surprise.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean that they could go to extremes and be supported by the Attorney General and the power of that office.
As I understand it, Kristi Noem, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary, will appear before the Judiciary Committee sometime in early March. What is your attitude about her hold on this particular job, and what do you hope that hearing, should it occur, will illuminate?
I tried all last calendar year to get Kristi Noem, the Secretary of DHS, to do what every other secretary has done and appear before the Judiciary Committee to be questioned by both members of both political parties. She refused. Too busy she was in 2025. Now in 2026, she says in 5 weeks, she just might be available for us. Her arrogance does not help her when it comes to being considered by this committee or her appropriation to be considered seriously.
There are a great number of House Democrats who have called for her impeachment and would like to bring those proceedings to fruition. Do you support that idea, concept?
Well, let's get down to basics. If there is an impeachment of any government official, the jury that is going to try the case in the Senate includes myself. As a possible future juror, I'm not going to speculate. But if you ask me, has she done a miserable job managing this agency, the answer is yes. America has seen it graphically in the videos that have been taken in Minneapolis and other cities.
And for you, Senator, and your colleagues, in the context of future funding for DHS, because as you know, in the bill that passed last year, July 4th, there's a ton of money already there. That money's not coming back, and they're going to have it. What do you need to see play out on the streets of Minneapolis to improve the atmosphere for these conversations about future DHS funding and ICE procedures?
Well, I'm glad you brought up the money. In the big, beautiful budget bill of Donald Trump, they ended up giving more money to the Department of Homeland Security than the Marine Corps of the United States of America or the Federal Bureau of Investigations. It is an excessive, outrageous amount of money that's being spent in ways that are just unacceptable in America. That is a reality. We've got to make sure that that money is spent in a lawful way, in a thoughtful way, in a constitutional way, and only for the mission that has been stated as a public mission, and that is to root out dangerous people from our ranks.
Does Tom Homan's presence in Minneapolis in any way give you expectation or hope that things will be drawn down and calmed down there?
Let me tell you, his presence, of course, is a news item, and it should be. But I will tell you, we've got to see a lot of performance changes by the ICE agents in the field, not just in Minneapolis, but in Chicago and around the nation. I've watched what they've done, this reign of terror in the city of Chicago. It is outrageous what they are doing to families who are innocent and no criminal record whatsoever.
Illinois Democratic Senator Dick Durbin, I appreciate the time, sir, very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Major.